Good evening, dear televiewers. We are pleased to have you again for another edition of the news on DBS Television. Let's begin the news by giving you our top stories. There have been widespread rumors of an outbreak of the polio virus in the town of Yaoundé, rumors which have been declared false according to what our reporters in the field found out. And the fear of COVID-19 in Cameroon has now gone way beyond just the pandemic, but also for a possible lockdown which is being talked about. Details of this in this newscast. And as women in Cameroon prepare to celebrate the 8th of March as the International Women's Day, they are confronted with several challenges, one of them being that of the coronavirus pandemic, but also the shortage of the Women's Day fabric. Get the details of these stories and more which we offer you as we return after the short break. Stay with us. Good evening. If you are just joining us, then you are on to DBS Television, and this is the 7 p.m. edition of the news on DBS Television in the English language. I am Cynthia Ngwemo. We open this news with health. Following rumors of some cases of the polio virus, that is the wild polio virus discovered in some human beings in the town of Yaoundé and notably at the Cité Verte District Hospital, our reporter Ate Bonaventure visited the said hospital in order to find out the truth about the issue. He found out that the rumors are false and came following some findings about an experiment in the environment that detected the type 2 polio virus. Let's have his report.
More fear than harm in Yaoundé, days after the detection of 2 cases of type 2 polio virus in environmental samples in the Cité Verte district. The discovery of these cases, according to health officials, constitutes a public health emergency, considering that the risk of the virus spreading is high.
But at the moment now, there is no case of polio vaccine here at Cité Verte Hospital. It's also an occasion for us to go back to the home and bring with us children who did not finish all the immunization.
Immunization teams have been reinforced at various levels to minimize chances of any human contamination.
We have to see every day at every time if there is a patient who cannot walk, who has paralysis of inferior members, and try to explain the people that with orophageal disease, that to wash their hand before eating, to clean the latrines.
The virus is transmitted through contaminated water or food. After multiplying in the intestine, it invades the nervous system and can lead to paralysis and even death. Although the wild polio viruses have been eradicated in Cameroon, other forms of the ailment continue to spread in some parts of the country.
Rising numbers of the coronavirus pandemic in Cameroon is an issue that is causing fear amongst Cameroonians, not only of the virus, but equally of a possible lockdown. Mange Venasius went down the streets of Douala today to find out what Cameroonians think about the issue, but also what they are doing about the coronavirus pandemic. This is what he brought back.
COVID-19 scare is gradually settling among Cameroonians with the recent rise in cases of the pandemic. As announced by the Minister of Public Health, the increase in cases would have been as a result of the negligence of Cameroonians to respect barrier measures. As such, precautionary measures are being adopted to mitigate the spread of the virus.
We have wash hand points, and as early as the students come here in the morning, we make sure that there is a thermal flash. We screen, but away from that, we have wash hand points. But the most important thing also is that we've been stressing over the past few weeks the wearing of face masks as prescribed by the government and the World Health Organization.
One of the areas hard hit is the educational sector, where teachers have simply crossed their fingers, praying that a second lockdown should not be announced.
We hope it doesn't happen again. It happened last time and there was adverse effect on everybody within the school community and I'm sure the nation as a whole. And so we hope that it doesn't happen like it happened last year because our students suffered so much. If you look at it this year already, we're having 2 streams in most of the schools. And so the number of hours of study are not even enough. And if there were to be another shutdown, I'm sure it's going to be complete disaster. And so we pray that the measures we are putting in place intensify, not only here but all over the country with all schools, so that we do not experience a second lockdown.
Even at that, Cameroonians are yet to come to terms with the recent increase in the country.
I want to see. I want to focus. I want to see what the minister is saying is true. Because you cannot even wake up. You cannot even wake up and say that how many? 35%. They are dead. So you cannot even see the person. So I cannot even trust about it.
All the same, some are of the opinion that preventive measures should be respected even as things are not clear in their minds.
What can I say? To take all Cameroonians to wear masks so that to prevent even COVID-19. Understand? So every morning, each time we should walk, we should put a mask and also wash our hands with gel.
And that is the position of the government to raise sensitization on the respect of these life-saving measures.
As they say, of course, prevention is better than cure. Now we move over to the north region of Cameroon, where the Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industry has presided over a ceremony to hand over some 164 heifers to organizations of livestock breeders in that region. Beneficiaries were advised to make maximum use of the animals they have received as advised by authorities. Mange Venasius has that story.
Recent statistics show that Cameroon records a deficit in the dairy sector of about 120,000 tons yearly. This is the reason behind Cameroon's partnership with the World Bank, through which a total of about 165 pregnant heifers were purchased from France within the context of the Livestock Development Project, PRODEL.
It's a very important event. This is an event where Cameroon is trying to boost, increase the productivity of the livestock sector, which is quite important because that is a sector where Cameroon has a huge potential, and the World Bank was very keen and willing to support the country and the minister and his ministry towards then improving productivity, but also improving the marketing.
These animals, arriving Cameroon in November, were kept at Lougéré, a locality in Mayo-Louti division of the North region. Within a period of 4 months, these heifers have practically become real milk-producing machines. Besides, more than 100 calves have been delivered. To extend the concept to a national level, these heifers were distributed to organizations dealing with the dairy sector in a ceremony presided at recently by the Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industry, Dr. Tiger, in the presence of the Director of Operations at the World Bank. The initiative is expected to fast-track the second-generation agriculture as prescribed by the head of states.
This year's 8th of March, which marks the commemoration of the International Women's Day all over the world, would be celebrated in a particular context, which is, of course, that of the COVID-19 pandemic. This has made preparations difficult for women in the East region of Cameroon, many of whom complain not only of the scarcity of the Women's Day fabric, but also of the difficulty to acquire them, as well as at a high cost. Details of this with Vanessa Shuyo.
It is not easy this year 2021 to get the 8th of March fabric usually worn by most women to celebrate the International Day of the Woman in Betwa, East region of Cameroon. Preparations, just like in the National Triangle, is not effective due to scarcity and high cost of the loincloth.
Vraiment, vous voyez comment tout est timide.
This year, things are slow. Women are not willing to buy the fabric because of COVID-19. We are discouraged as they may ban the march pass for this year.
La fête là, avec le corona virgule là, on ne connaît pas si on aura défilé ou pas. Les pains sont rares, même comme c'est au marché là. Mais les revendeurs la vendent trop cher. Tu comprends, non? Ils revendent à 10 000. Nous les débrouillards comme ça avec les bâtons là, on va faire comment?
Le 8 mars, il n'y a pas. Et c'est d'abord cher. Et encore plus, on dit qu'on ne défile pas, il y a Corona dehors. On va donc faire comment? L'argent même, il n'y a pas à cause de Corona. Donc les femmes sont déjà dépassées et fatiguées.
Unlike previous years where one could easily find the fabric at a price ranging from 5,000 to 7,000, tailors have confided that it now ranges from 8,000 to 10,000 francs, depending on the type of material used in sewing. Despite the high cost, some women can afford to do without.
Women have started ordering for the dress. Women are so much attached to the feast that they can't stay without wearing the fabric.
Others have resolved to buy the fabric and sew ready-made dress for those who may not want to go through the usual stress to afford them. Even vendors of other commodities are disappointed with the low turnout in markets.
We have not been seeing customers, and very soon we have just 1 week to see on the 8th of March. But look at all our business is done. Like nothing is doing, nothing is passing, nothing is going on. But at this moment, we're supposed to be seeing customers. It is not good. This thing affects everybody.
Nevertheless, women of the East region are hoping things change as the celebration draws near.
The SDO for the Noun Division, Donatien has just ended the first stage of a contact-taking tour that is in the Malantuen subdivision of the West region of Cameroon. Accompanied by the Mayor Ibrahim Ndapenyun, he took knowledge of the worries of the citizens and equally attended to political tensions in the municipality. He as well took the opportunity to install the new municipal executive. Now listen to the Noun SDO Donatien followed by the Mayor of Malantuen, talking about the problems of the locality and their intentions to solve them. They spoke to our West regional correspondent, Alexis Yangwa. Listen.
The divisional delegate in charge of public works told them how far the government is intending to construct the road, the main roads. They are regional roads, and one of the elite followed up while explaining them how far the process is on. So in a short time, we likely have the two main roads constructed here, and we will facilitate the development of the area.
We think that for these 5 years, we are going to continue what we have started on the first mandate. It means the problem of water, the problem of roads, the problem of schools, the problem of light. These are our main problems we are going to solve. That's what I can say, because that work will be done.
Back in the East, mayors of the region, through a network of nutrition championships, have met in the region of the country in order to assess the level of malnutrition, but also to assess the level at which COVID-19 has affected activities. This workshop also brought together civil actors in the Adamawa, North and Far North regions of the country, which are also greatly affected by malnutrition. We have this story with Vanessa Shuyo.
According to statistics from the Ministry of Public Health, the East region of Cameroon has been ranked among the 4 regions of the country suffering from malnutrition. This is the plight of mayors of the region who have come together through an association dubbed Network of Councils for Nutrition in Cameroon to find remedies to the challenge, bringing together actors from the northern part of the country, which constitutes the other 3 suffering from the same ailment, The workshop was meant to share best practices, understanding capacity and creating partnerships for nutrition development. By so doing, the Sun Movement, known for supporting Cameroon civil society network and local governments to advance scaling up nutrition alongside Helen Keller International, have taken the commitment to help the communities and go beyond fighting malnutrition.
We are here to help the municipalities to tackle the malnutrition issue. We have been there since 3 years, and we are taking commitment to continue to help the communities, to help the municipalities to go beyond the malnutrition, and also help them to address the education issue, the health issue.
Other topics tabled during the workshop were the acquisition of birth certificates and evaluating the impact of the first wave of coronavirus, which has also contributed in propagating malnutrition in these regions. With concerted efforts in sensitizing cancers, the number has increased from 15 to over 40. As such, each council has allocated 1% from its budget to tackle problems of malnutrition, greatest amongst which is finances.
And now we talk news out of Cameroon, beginning in Niger, where Mohamed Bazoum has won the last presidential election as announced by the National Electoral Commission. The release of this result was marked by protest by some supporters of the opposition who lost the election. And over in Guinea, an Ebola vaccination campaign has been launched by the World Health Organization in a bid to stem down the spread of the virus, which recently had a resurgence from DR Congo. We get the stories in our Africa Roundup page with Rogia Tububa, who is our intern.
In Niger, 61-year-old Mohamed Bazoum has been declared president after he won 55.75% of votes in Sunday's run of presidential elections. The chairman of Niger's Independent National Electoral Commission, Isaka Suna, said the results are provisional and must be put to the Constitutional Court for its assessment. Opposition candidate Mahaman Usman came second with 44.25% of votes. In the first round of polls in December, Bazoum received 39.3% of votes. The voters marked the first transition in Sahel from one democratically elected leader to another. Following the release of the results by the National Electoral Commission, opposition supporters gathered in protest near the headquarters of the ruling party, where Bazoum is due to speak, but they were quickly separated by police who fired tear gas. Usman's campaign alleged fraud before the results were even declared and said there had been theft, ballot box stuffing, and threats against voters without providing evidence. The Electoral Commission has yet to comment on accusations of irregularities. Guinea has launched an Ebola vaccination campaign 9 days after an outbreak was declared by the World Health Organization. The vaccination was launched in a rural community of Ngweke, where the first case was declared following the outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The vaccination uses a ring strategy where people who have been in contact with a confirmed Ebola patient are given the vaccine. Guinea has recorded 4 confirmed cases and 4 probable cases, including 5 deaths in the first resurgence since the 2013 to 2016 outbreak. The Ebola virus is transmitted through close contact with body fluids and causes severe fever, unstoppable bleeding, and organ failure.
That is what we gathered for you for this midweek edition of the news on DBS Television. I am Cynthia Nguemo, thanking you for staying with us and equally inviting you to stay on DBS Television until we return tomorrow. Have a blessed evening.